After 22 years of being childhood sweethearts, I finally succeeded in proposing to Rachel Lewis. Our friends celebrated with enthusiasm, cheering us on and urging us to drink the wedding wine. I held my glass and approached Rachel with a joyful heart. She had always been gentle, but suddenly, she turned into someone I didn't recognize and shoved me away. I hit the ground, shards of glass piercing my palm. Rachel looked down at me coldly, calling me shameless and indecent. I left the hospital alone and returned home, only to witness something that shattered me even more. Rachel was forcing her ex-lover onto our wedding bed. "You said you couldn't bear to break up with me, and now you dare to show up and take over the wedding," she said. "As long as you come, I'll go with you." Watching the two of them so intimate, I felt a wave of regret hit me. I couldn't bear another humiliation, so I chose to run away on the day of the wedding. But after I disappeared, the woman who once insisted on changing the groom went mad looking for me across the globe. "Mr. Wilson, have you filled the study abroad position you mentioned before?" Under the dim glow of a street lamp, I did my best to suppress my emotions as I called my boss. He sounded stunned when he heard my question. "Why are you asking this? Weren't you about to get married?" I finally exhaled the breath caught in my chest. "I'm not getting married anymore." "Are you still willing to give me the position?" He answered without hesitation, "Of course. You're the best subordinate I've ever had. I'd be honored to have you join me." Hearing that, a weight lifted off my shoulders. After hanging up, I could no longer hold back my tears. My sobs came in trembling waves. The conversation in the bridal chamber echoed in my mind, torturing me over and over. I calmed myself down eventually. The shirt I was wearing, it felt like it was choking me. It was one Rachel had custom made for me. I used to love it, but it had always been a size too small. I walked into a clothing store and changed. As the clerk looked on regretfully, I tossed the shirt and suit straight into the trash. Turns out, when you wear something that doesn't fit for too long, changing out of it brings a sense of relief you didn't know you needed. Just as I stepped outside, my phone buzzed. It was the surveillance camera I had installed for safety during the wedding renovations. I never took it down, and now it was notifying me that one device had disconnected. After a moment of hesitation, I reconnected it. The live feed came back and there was Rachel, wearing the lingerie I had bought for her. She'd always said she was too shy to wear it. Now I realized it wasn't shyness, it was that I wasn't the right person. Ethan Miller's fingers slid across the framed photos, our wedding pictures on the wall. The camera quality was high, it clearly captured the smirk on his face. "If I hadn't come back, would you really have married him?" he asked. Rachel said nothing, simply took down the photos and tossed them into a closet corner. Ethan smiled faintly, leaned back on the bed, and pulled her close by the waist. "That wedding was a show. You were just trying to force me to come back. If you keep pretending to be cold, I'll walk away. Dare me?" Rachel seemed to lose her temper and shoved his shoulders. Ethan laughed softly, pulled her in by the back of the head. "I knew you couldn't forget me. Do you think James Carter is really that stupid? Every style you bought for her matched my preferences, the sizes, too. The initials on the ring were mine. Even the wedding room design was straight out of our old dreams. He never figured it out." Rachel said nothing and simply kissed him. The two of them melted into each other. A burst of fireworks lit up the sky. My ears buzzed. I couldn't hear a thing. I'd always assumed Rachel was careless, always getting my size wrong. With trembling fingers, I pulled the ring from my hand and examined it under my phone's flashlight. There were two small letters engraved on the inside, XC. My strength vanished. I couldn't even hold the ring. It slipped from my hand, rolled into the sewer, and clinked against the iron all the way down, each sound hitting like a hammer against my heart. No wonder she acted like a stranger when she saw Ethan at the KTV. No wonder she didn't even care that she hurt me. In her heart, I was always just a substitute. Now that the real man had returned, there was no room left for me. How laughable. I was the one who had been by her side for 22 years. The one who supported her through the 8 years she built her company. While managing my own job, I helped with her business, her family, gave her everything: fame, success. But in the end, I was just a stand-in for the person I despised most. Their kiss ended, and Ethan caressed her face gently. "Rachel, wait for me on your wedding day. I'll come get you." Her eyes lit up. She traced the tip of his nose with her finger. They smiled and turned off the lights. I smiled to a twisted, bitter smile so awkward that passers-by glanced back at me. My chest felt like it was caving in. Turns out, the cruelest part wasn't being a substitute for Ethan Miller, it was being used and humiliated by the woman I loved. "Rachel Lewis, you're ruthless." Because she wanted to focus on her career first, I waited year after year until now. I stayed by her side until she was nearly 30, and never once did I complain. But she was the one who changed, she was the one who grew distant. The girl who once wrapped her arms around me and whispered, "You only need me," had long since been washed away by time. A sudden pain shot through my palm, and I instinctively pulled my hand back. She held it tightly, refusing to let go, and gave me a reproachful look. I pulled away again and lowered my head to blow on the wound. "You're a grown man and still can't handle a little pain. What would you do without me?" she said with a teasing smile. I watched her little performance in silence, wondering if all the tenderness and affection over the years had been just data performance. Maybe Rachel Lewis had been acting all along, while I had foolishly believed every bit of it. "By the way," she said, "why did you change clothes? Where's the suit I had custom-made for you? It was torn." "I threw it out," I replied flatly. She didn't seem to notice the lack of emotion in my voice and kept talking more than she usually did. She tossed the cotton swab in the trash and continued packing up the medicine box, scolding me lightly as she went. "I already apologized to Ethan Miller on your behalf. From now on, try using your brain before you speak. Stop clinging to the past." She even chuckled as she said it. "Rachel Lewis, there is no future for us." "What?" she asked, sensing something in my tone. But when she turned back, all she saw was me looking down, fiddling with my phone. Back in the room, the empty space on the wall looked especially stark. The sexy lingerie was carelessly thrown across the bed. I picked it up and shoved it under the frame. Still, the room felt dirty to me, especially the bed. Just thinking about them on it together, wrapped in each other's arms, made my stomach turn. I actually ran to the corner and threw up. Rachel walked out of the bathroom and saw the mess. She frowned. "What the hell? Most people aim for a trash can or the toilet, but you vomit right on the bed." Seeing how pale I looked, she didn't push it further and changed the subject. "Looks like I'll be sleeping somewhere else tonight." She opened the cabinet to grab a new bedsheet, and as she did, she accidentally knocked over a picture frame tucked away in the corner. It crashed to the floor and shattered. She picked up the photo with a guilty expression. "A couple of them fell out before, and I was afraid they'd get damaged, so I put them away. I didn't mean to break this one. Just need to tighten the nails and hang it back up." I didn't respond, just nodded absently, took the sheet from her hand, and walked to the guest room. Rachel stood frozen for a moment, then quietly began tidying up. I slept surprisingly well that night. By the time I woke up, it was already noon. She hadn't come to find me, and I didn't care. I stretched, walked into the living room, and saw breakfast on the table with a note beside it. "James Carter, I'm heading to work. Make sure you eat." She sounded as thoughtful as ever, but it no longer meant anything to me. With my heart already hardened, even this breakfast felt like part of a scheme. I tossed it into the trash along with the note. Just then, the little robot at home reminded me of today's schedule. That's when I remembered we're supposed to go to the wedding company today to pick out the dress and finalize the venue decoration. I guessed Rachel had forgotten too. I pressed the reminder and took out my phone to cancel the arrangements. One by one, I returned everything related to the wedding and packed up all the items I had brought into this home. Anything I couldn't return, I threw away. Bit by bit, I erased every trace of myself from the house as if I were cleaning out all remnants of my love for Rachel Lewis. When I held the delicate photo album in my hand, ready to burn it, she called. "James Carter, we're supposed to check out wedding dresses and the venue today. Why didn't you remind me?" she asked. "I forgot too," I said calmly. After a long pause, she urged me to get ready and come downstairs, said she was waiting in the car. I changed clothes slowly and walked out, only to see Ethan Miller in the passenger seat. He greeted me with a smug smile. I opened the back door and got in without saying a word. They were both stunned for a second before awkwardly trying to cover it up. Rachel claimed that she asked Ethan to help choose decorations so things would go faster. "He gets carsick," she explained, so I let him sit in front. I just nodded and turned my head to look out the window. I was leaving the country in a few days, and I didn't know how long I'd be gone. I wanted to enjoy the city's scenery one last time. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw Ethan gently pinching Rachel's fingers. She shook his hand off, and they kept playing like that for a while. I closed my eyes and pretended to sleep. When we arrived at the wedding company, the designer began explaining the layout. Ethan sat down at the desk, and Rachel leaned close beside him, the two whispering and discussing every detail like a couple in love. I sat silently on the sofa across the room, completely disengaged. Only when the layout was finalized did Rachel seem to remember me. "Why are you sitting so far away?" she asked with a smile. "Come help pick." I already looked. "Your choices are good," I said calmly. I don't know which part triggered Ethan, but his face suddenly twisted with guilt. "It's my fault. I shouldn't have come." Without warning, he got up and stormed out. Rachel rushed to follow, but as she passed me, she stopped. "What is wrong with you?" she asked. "Now look what's happened." I couldn't take the humiliation anymore. I grabbed her wrist, and she stumbled, nearly hitting the glass door. She looked at me in fury, but I stared back with calm indifference. "You ask what's wrong with me?" She didn't respond. Her lips trembled, but no words came out. She flung my hand off and chased after him. The wedding designer looked at me with pity. "Sir, would you like to reselect the decor? And for the bride's dress, we can reschedule if you'd like." I gave her a tired smile. "No need. I think the gentleman who just left will handle the wedding dress." After I got home, I picked up the photo album again, and this time, I threw it directly into the brazier. Rachel Lewis didn't come home for several days. During that time, I came down with a high fever. From the moment I got sick to the day I recovered, I endured it. Alanino one knew. That illness taught me how to be quiet, how to let go, and how to survive without relying on anyone. Once I was better, I packed up my belongings and sent them ahead to the overseas dormitory. Then I did everything I'd always wanted to do but never had time for: hiking, swimming, riding my bike through the park, screaming on a roller coaster at the amusement park. I used to think those things were only fun with someone by your side, but it turns out doing them alone is even more freeing. Afterward, I gathered my friends for dinner and told them the wedding was off. I was leaving the country. They were cautious at first, testing my mood, but the moment I said the words, they banged the table in outrage. "She announced her engagement to you right away? That's bold. Shameless, even. Does she really think our social circle is that big? Half our friends are hers too. She thought blocking you would make the world forget. That's laughable. Spoiled women like her always think they're invincible. Forget love, we're behind you and your career." Their reaction shocked me. I just sat there, stunned. One of them caught my expression and raised an eyebrow. "Wait, don't tell me. You haven't seen it." "Seen what?" I asked. He pulled out his phone and shoved it toward me. Only then did I find out Rachel had been off with Ethan these past few days. They'd gone to Erie Lake for wedding photos, relaxed in Dolly, gone skiing. She had custom-made a black evening gown for him, got DR rings, even booked a high-end makeup artist. It should have made me furious. Instead, I felt nothing. Not anger, not betrayal, just numbness. Somewhere along the way, my heart had stopped reacting. In silence, I opened my phone and removed her from my favorites list. My care had become a burden in her eyes. It was time to let go. I left the dinner, returned home, and found Rachel waiting on the couch. "The wedding's tomorrow. And you're still out late?" "Just dinner with some friends," I replied as I changed into slippers, already planning to toss them when I left in the morning. "Where's your ring?" she asked suddenly, grabbing my hand. Her face looked awful. "No idea. Must have fallen off," I lied. I didn't want to argue. "Not now." She stared at me, then sighed. "Why didn't you say something earlier?" "It's too late to buy another one." I looked down at my bare finger. Not even an impression was left where the ring used to be. "We'll replace it later," I said blandly. The next morning, I wheeled my suitcase out the door and dropped my last pair of slippers, the only trace of me in that apartment, into the dumpster. Across the street, Mr. Wilson was waiting in his car. He waved, smiling warmly. I walked over quickly. Just as I climbed into the passenger seat, the wedding convoy Rachel had booked began pulling up in front of the building. "Didn't you say it was cancelled?" Mr. Wilson asked, baffled. I lowered my head, busy with my phone. "Rachel and Ethan are planning to elope. That wedding convoy isn't for me." Mr. Wilson swore under his breath and floored the gas pedal. I downloaded the surveillance video and forwarded it to Rachel's family group chat. Even if I walked away quietly, I wasn't about to let them rewrite the narrative. As soon as the video uploaded, I exited the group. Calls came in one after another. I declined them all, then shut off my phone entirely. The wedding was going to be very lively just without the groom. The company had generously booked me a business class seat. I leaned back, watched the sea of clouds rolling by the window, and let the light refract into a rainbow on the glass. A sentence came to mind: being on the road and meeting beauty, that's the best kind of journey. I didn't know when I drifted off, but I dreamed. A blur of Rachel's face at age 10. Her soft voice calling my name. Then it switched. Ethan's mother was whipping my back with a searing hot stick. Rachel laughed beside her, gentle and affectionate only when Ethan appeared. When I woke up, Mr. Wilson was watching me with concern. "Nightmare?" I rubbed my temple and nodded. Rachel had been my salvation during childhood. She was my light. And in one wedding, in one shift of the heart, she became my nightmare. What a painful irony. Mr. Wilson patted my shoulder. We didn't speak for a long time. After we landed, I didn't want to turn my phone back on. I already knew what chaos waited on the other side of the screen. But I had to. Most of the things I needed were digital. The second I powered up, my notifications exploded. Red exclamation marks filled the screen. My world had never been so loud. Before I could even process anything, a new call came through. James Carter. Rachel's voice was hoarse and choked. She hesitated, like she wanted to say more but couldn't find the words. I didn't understand what she was upset about. She was the one who ruined the wedding. She was the one who walked away. So what was she crying for? Did she expect sympathy just because Ethan didn't humiliate me on her behalf? If she really lost both love and reputation, that was her own doing. "Miss Rachel, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up." Silence. Then her voice returned, sharper, familiar. "James Carter, can you control your temper for once? You ruined the wedding, and then you sent that video to everyone. You humiliated me. And now you're mad at me on top of it." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She blamed all of it on my temper. I didn't lose my temper, Rachel. I just didn't want to be humiliated again. That's why I left before you could do it. Why do you keep pushing? Did it have to be during my wedding? Was it really necessary to make a scene just to run away with Ethan? Her breath caught. After a pause, she spoke softly, almost pleading. That's not how it was, James. It's all a misunderstanding. Just tell me where you are, I'll come to you and explain everything. That confused me more. What did she want to explain? She liked Ethan. I stepped aside to make it easier. That should have been the end of it. So why was she still clinging to me? Why did she look so unwilling to let go? Rachel, we were childhood sweethearts. Even if you stopped loving me, you shouldn't have humiliated me like that. You already did it once at the KT for Ethan. Why would you think I'd let you do it again? That's it. We're even now. I wish you and Ethan Miller a happy marriage. The moment those words left my mouth, Rachel Lewis's breathing quickened, and her voice sped up, flustered. No, James Carter, it's not what you think. I never meant to humiliate you or hurt you. Please, tell me where you are, I'll explain everything face to face, okay? No, I replied coldly. After what I'd heard in the bridal suite, I no longer believed a single word that came out of her mouth. I couldn't tell what was real and what was fake anymore, and I didn't want to try. Don't contact me again, I said, just don't. At President Wilson's urging, I hung up. When she called again, I blocked her number. The head office had arranged a cheerful welcome for us at the airport, bouquets of flowers, bright smiles, and even a group of blonde-haired, blue-eyed greeters. One of them, a beautiful white woman, kept getting closer to me, while President Wilson kept winking like a teenager. I remained polite but kept my distance. Once I got settled into the dormitory, I finally had time to check my messages. There were hundreds from Rachel, texts, voice memos. I didn't open a single one. I blacklisted her completely. The rest of the messages were from friends sending clips of the wedding. Apparently, someone had looped the surveillance video I'd shared in the family group and played it at the venue for everyone to see. Her parents were humiliated. Her mother slapped her in front of the guests. Her father even yelled that he'd rather die than accept a man like Ethan Miller as his son-in-law. I smiled faintly. So that's why she kept calling. Turns out she couldn't marry Ethan Miller either, and now she was hoping to settle for me. I felt sick. President Wilson noticed how bothered I was and insisted I change my number under the pretext of work. I agreed and tossed my old phone number into the trash on the street. I got busy quickly. The mess in China started to feel like it belonged to a past life. I never imagined Rachel Lewis would actually find me. But one day, she appeared outside the company building soaked to the bone in pouring rain. James Carter. I finally found you. I asked so many people, begged so many favors, I finally found your address. Are you mad at me for coming too late? Please believe me, I've never stopped trying to find you. She followed closely behind me, talking non-stop as I walked out with my umbrella. Tired of hearing her voice, I dragged her under a nearby awning. Rachel Lewis, what do you want? I honestly didn't understand her anymore. Back when she started her business, I gave up all my savings to support her. When she had to entertain clients, I drank for her until my stomach ulcer sent me to the ER. For the deals she couldn't close, I humbled myself and went door to door to win people over. I did all of it for her. But she forgot. The only thing she ever remembered was the thrill Ethan Miller gave her when she was 16. Fine. If she forgot everything I did, if she didn't care about my love, I would grant her freedom. So why was she unhappy again? She gave up Ethan, chased me across an ocean, and begged to reconcile. Is that all I was to her, just someone she wanted because she couldn't have me? I want you to come home with me, she said, her voice pitiful. I didn't know what else to say to her. Seeing I wasn't responding, she lowered her tone and pleaded, I know I hurt you. If you want to hit me or scream at me, I'll accept it. But there are some things I need to explain face to face. I never truly planned to run away with Ethan Miller. I was teasing him on purpose. He charmed me when I was 16, yes, but I knew even then that he was just trying to get back at you. After he got what he wanted, he left me in pieces. I held on to that bitterness for years. So when he came back, I thought, maybe I could get revenge, take back control. But I swear, when I agreed to marry you, I meant it. I really did. I just wanted to hurt him and love you at the same time. I got carried away, I treated you horribly, but I never betrayed us. I couldn't help but laugh. Rachel Lewis, why would I believe anything you say now? You say it was revenge, but for 10 years, I wore clothes one size too small thinking you liked them. I gave up all the things I loved because you told me they weren't your style. Every little detail you claimed as your preference. They were his. And I went along with it like a fool. You never even learned what I liked. Even the wedding ringgit was engraved with Ethan Miller's initials. If this was just an act, it was the performance of a lifetime. I didn't lie to you, I swear I didn't. Rachel cried, grabbing my hand and falling to her knees. James Carter, just give me one more chance. I'll plan a new wedding, just for you. No Ethan Miller, no one else, just us. I'll design the auditorium myself, custom make your suit, choose your ring. I'll listen to everything you say from now on. Please trust me just once more. No, my voice was calm but firm. I pried her fingers off mine, one by one. What good is begging after you've drained every last bit of trust and affection from me? All that's left is pity. That's not love. I thought she'd finally understand. But the next day, she showed up again, this time with a giant bouquet of roses and a carefully packed homemade breakfast. The moment she saw me, she smiled brightly. James Carter, I know breakfast here doesn't suit your taste, so I made this for you. Please try it. I didn't even glance at it. I walked straight past her and into the building. It's strange. I loved her with all my heart for 22 years and never once tasted a breakfast she made. Now that we're finished, now that I expect nothing from her, she suddenly becomes considerate. How ironic. However, the breakfast and flowers she brought kept becoming a topic at the office. I was just about to toss them into the trash when President Wilson intercepted me, disapprovingly. What's wrong with the food? Give it to me. I haven't had Chinese cuisine in 3 months, I miss it. I shook my head, defeated, and tossed the bouquet into the bin. President Wilson crossed his legs and began slurping the preserved egg and lean pork congee while asking, "Are you really never going to forgive her?" I mean, she seems serious this time. I laughed bitterly. I used to be more sincere with her than she is now. But the more effort I gave, the more I felt like my heart had been flayed. I've already lost everything I had to give. What's left to love her with? No one knew how I got through the days after Rachel's betrayal, especially those nights I was sick and burning up with fever. I picked up my phone countless times, my thumb hovering over her name. I wanted to call her so badly, but I kept reminding myself not to be that pathetic. My body temperature kept spiking, and I felt like I was being fried alive. And where was Rachel? She was off with Ethan taking wedding photos at Erie Lake, sightseeing in Dali, vacationing in Paris. Not once did she think about me. President Wilson sighed, drained his porridge in one go, let out a satisfied burp, and went back to his desk like nothing had happened. After work, Rachel was there again, waiting outside with a lunchbox. Her phone rang repeatedly, but she refused to pick up. For 3 straight days, she followed me like that. I finally had enough. I decided to talk to her properly. Under a dim street lamp, I smiled and asked, "Rachel, do you remember that night you told me my parents were right to dislike me? That I was unlovable?" Her face went pale. She tried to explain, but I held up my hand. Don't speak, just listen. They say the person who understands you best is also the one most capable of hurting you. That's true. You knew exactly what would cut deepest. You knew how much I hated Ethan Miller, how much he's taken from me, yet you still chose him. You say it was revenge. Then you knew what that would do to me. You've always known. Her face drained of color with every word. When I finished, she staggered like someone had struck her. No, James Carter, I love you. I've only ever loved you, she whispered, grabbing my hand desperately. But at that moment, her phone rang again, more insistent than before. With an annoyed glance, she picked it up and turned on speaker mode. Ethan Miller's voice came through, weak and raspy. "Rachel. Where are you? Why didn't you answer? Don't you want me anymore? I'm sick. Can you come? Please, stay with me." He sounded like he was on his deathbed, gasping after every sentence. But Rachel's expression didn't soften. Her voice was ice. "If you're sick, go to a hospital. I'm not your doctor, and I'm not some miracle cure. Don't pull this manipulative crap with me, Ethan Miller. I've had enough." Then came a loud crash. He'd smashed the phone. The line went dead. Rachel looked at me like she'd just scored a point. "See? I've drawn the line. I'm done with him." She handed me the phone like it was some kind of proof. I just sighed. "Rachel, don't you get it yet? It's not that I can't forgive you. I just don't love you anymore. There's nothing left. You drained me." My voice was calm, but my words were sharp. Love is like fireworks, bright when it explodes, but gone in an instant. You can't bring it back after it fades. Rachel's body trembled. She took a few steps back, her expression hollow. She stood there for a long time, long enough for the night wind to chill the air. Finally, she turned around and walked away with her back hunched. After that day, she returned to China. I heard she had a falling out with Ethan Miller. This time, she didn't give in. The whole mess blew up online. It got ugly. People came forward exposing Ethan's past, including what he did to me. Even my parents called something they hadn't done in years. They apologized and wanted to make things right. I just smiled. I'm not a kid anymore. I don't need parents now. They were so furious and ashamed that they ended up suing Ethan's mother. She was hospitalized from the stress. Ethan lost everything: his family, his reputation, his support. I didn't pay much attention to the drama. I threw myself into work. Eventually, I earned my boss's trust and was promoted. I stayed overseas, while President Wilson returned to manage the domestic market. We made a great team. I like the person I've become. I like this version of my life. After all, when the fireworks burn out, the regrets belong only to those who never cherished them. It's over.